Welcome to What I Wish I Knew About Studying Business, presented by the Monash Business School. This is a podcast that is going to help you understand and answer all the big questions that are at the top of your mind about the transition from high school to university. My name is Bryce Lesky, and I'm here with my co-host, Alec Renahan, and we are the co-founders of Equity Mates Media. Alec, how are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. I'm excited for this episode.
Likewise. Alec and I met at uni and we look back on the time with some pretty fond memories. We made a lot of friends that are still lifelong. We attempted to start a business and we had a lot of travel opportunities. But look, it wasn't all smooth sailing. We obviously felt the nerves and the trepidation about making that transition from high school to university. And I'm sure it is perhaps how you are feeling today. In this podcast, What I Wish I Knew, we're going to answer all the important questions that you might have. We're going to be hearing from some current students and some students that have just left and are in their first jobs. We're going to be talking about the transition programs. We're going to be talking about the gap year that you never had. And we're going to talk about the entrepreneurial opportunities available at the school. You'll hear things you might not have ever considered, things that you've thought a lot about, and also things that we wish we knew. In today's episode, we're going to be chatting with a current student at the Monash Business School about everything you wish you knew about business school before you got started. Things she wished she knew, things she wished she did, and things she wished she tried. A bit of a cheat sheet to starting business school. It's our pleasure to welcome Oshani Parangame to the show. Oshani, welcome.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to the discussions that we're going to come up with today.
We're excited as well, Oshani. But before we get into the world of Monash Business School, we've been starting these episodes with a bit of a game. We're calling it Monash Best Of, and we want to hear what you think some of the best places on campus are. And when we were chatting before the show, you mentioned that your degree goes across 3 campuses.
Yep.
So whichever campus you think is best for some of these things. So we'll start with, where is the best place at Monash to get a coffee?
I'd say Grafali's at Clayton.
Nice. I think we've had that actually. Yeah. Go Grafali's. What about best place to grab a meal between classes?
The best place I grab a meal is at the upper deck at Peninsula campus.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
What's the meal?
They've introduced this new lamb curry with rice. So that's what I grab most of the time. Yeah.
Nice. What about the best place to study?
See, I don't study in the library. I find my own quiet places to study.
Yeah.
Yeah. One is actually on the 2nd floor of the campus center at Clayton. And at Peninsula, I just usually study at the sort of the entrance of the business building. So that's sort of my chair over there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So no one take it.
Yeah, that's where I sit. It's my office.
Well, that kind of answers this last one, but is there a secret spot on uni that you sometimes go to that no one else really knows about?
I won't say they're secret spots. I mean, anybody can access them.
Yeah.
It's just I study there.
Yeah. Fair.
Nice. Well, Oshani, we've got a lot to cover today. We want to talk about, the transition to uni and how you found the business school and some of the things I guess you wish you knew when you were starting.
Yep.
But let's start with getting to know you a little bit more. We're speaking to a lot of high school students at the moment. So let's start with, where did you go to school?
So I'm actually an international student. So I was born and raised in Sri Lanka, and I came here for my first year of uni when I was 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so take us back to the moment that you finished school in Sri Lanka and then thinking about what's to come.
Yeah.
The final bell goes. What was the feeling like? What was going through your mind?
I actually knew that I was going to come to Australia because both my elder sisters were studying here at Monash. So I actually knew that was coming. And I remember I was actually doing my final A-level exams, and I was like, as soon as I finished the paper, I was like, okay, next stop is Monash.
That's great.
So you'd already got into Monash.
No, I just knew that I would get into Monash.
So when you said your sisters both were at Monash, and so
Yeah.
I imagine that made the decision to come to Monash pretty easy.
Yeah.
But you did have a lot of choice. You could have gone to
Definitely.
plenty of different unis.
Definitely. So I actually researched about all the different options that were available in Melbourne, because my sisters were here in Melbourne, and it was like the obvious choice. I actually found that Monash had a very good structured course. I liked that it started off with those very basic core units, which you could then build up on in your second and third years and choose which sector you'd like to specialize in. And I also liked that Monash had so many fascinating industry connections. And I thought that that would really set the pathway for me to sort of excel in my career.
Nice.
Yeah, great.
So what are you studying, and how did you, we all go through school and pretty unsure what we want to do. How did you decide on what you wanted to study?
So I study a Bachelor of Business Administration, which is sort of a general degree. So as many of the people who are in high school, I didn't really have an idea of what exactly I wanted to do. So I thought I'd go with a general degree, which would then help me sort of decide which sector I'd like to specialize in. So that's why I chose a very general degree. And I think when I was in high school, I studied accounting, economics, and business, but I didn't really know how the careers of these different disciplines would unfold. So back then I thought I was a numbers person and that I'd be good at sort of accounting and finance because I really enjoyed that back in high school. And I actually thought that I might going to do an accounting major. But after I sort of finished my first year at uni and I had a taste of the different disciplines that Monash offered, I found that I actually enjoyed being a bit more creative and doing a role which involved a lot of people. So that's why I chose marketing, because I really enjoyed that in my first year.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So take us back to your very first day of starting uni, first day at Monash. Do you remember anything from that day?
I do. Funny enough, that was my first and last day at uni, because we went into lockdown right after that.
Of course.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it was just one full day, and then after that it was all online. But I remember that day very well. I was really nervous, very, very scared. And funnily enough, that was the first time I actually took the bus on my own in my entire life. Yeah. I remember I think I woke up really early that day. I had a class at, I think, 8:30, so I caught the bus at 7, and it was a long ride down to the Peninsula campus. And I remember my first class as well. It was an accounting tutorial, and I was just looking at everybody over there, and nobody was talking to each other. And back then I was just so worried, and I was like really upset, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna have any friends these entire 3 years. I'm just gonna be all on my own. But it was completely the opposite, obviously.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on some of the key moments during university
Yeah.
and how they might be different to school and what
Sure.
you wish you knew. But we should pick up on the COVID piece there.
Yeah.
What was it like day 2 onwards for a while during COVID, and how did Monash really, I guess, facilitate that learning experience?
So obviously all my classes were online, and for some units we didn't have tutorials. We just had an assigned number of tasks that we had to complete each week instead of a tutorial. So I found that in COVID I just had so much more time to just settle into uni, because we were just stuck at home. I only had to focus on uni and just probably make my lunch and dinner. That was it. So I feel like I really had enough time to like dig deep into all of the material that we were covering and sort of prepare my own schedule and just really nail all the concepts that we were learning. And I feel like that transition was much easier as opposed to what it would have been if I was actually on campus, because that means that I would have less time to focus on what I wanted to do. So I feel like it was actually a positive factor for me to just have a lot of time in my hand to get what I wanted to do.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you're back in-person classes now?
Yes. On reflection, I feel like now when I have Zoom meetings, I find it very uncomfortable to just talk to a number of black boxes on Zoom. But back in 2020, I was just so comfortable with it because that was the normal thing. Yeah, and obviously now I find my on-campus classes more engaging and more enjoyable, and it's good that you have your friends and your teachers to actually physically discuss what's going on and how we can sort of prepare for our assignments and exams.
So you made a pretty massive transition from school to university, coming from Sri Lanka to Australia. Can you talk us through how that really felt and some of the things that you were perhaps quite anxious and nervous about at the time?
Yeah. I'd say I was anxious and nervous about everything in my life. From things like taking care of myself, making my own food, to just being an independent adult. I'd say your life just changes within a blink of an eye. Suddenly on this plane and you just land in this brand new country and you're supposed to just settle in and just transition in very well. It's a massive change, but on reflection that has made me a very confident person, and it sort of helped me really build my resilience, and I'm very grateful for all of this, everything that's going on in my life at the moment.
Great.
If there are any students listening or potential students listening that are going to have a similar transition, come from overseas to Melbourne to go to Monash, do you have any advice for them?
Definitely. My biggest advice is to believe in yourself and just be confident. And without a doubt, what's in front of you is just a very hard thing to get by, but it's really just going to build who you are as a person. It's going to build your character. It's going to build your confidence, and you're just going to be this very strong and resilient person amongst the crowd. And just believe in yourself. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Are there any like good services or any things at Monash that can help people meet other students and settle in?
Yeah, there are a bunch of international student services available, and there's also a really good, I think, global ambassador program which you can get a lot of help from. The best way to find out about that is just to simply Google search, and you'll get a whole bunch of lists about all the facilities that they have available. There's a lot of cultural programs, a lot of sessions for you to meet new students, to mingle and just have a conversation about what you're all going through in life at the moment. And there's definitely a lot of help available from Monash. And my biggest tip is to talk to your lecturers about it. And they can really direct you to all the different amazing resources that you have. Because I remember right after lockdown, I had a meeting with one of my lecturers. She was an amazing management lecturer that I had. And at the time, I was very worried about everything that was going on. I had to sort of teach myself how to write an essay in English, how to reference. And I was just talking to her about all the struggles that I've been going through. And she's like the biggest person who helped me at the time. She was my lecturer. So yeah, reach out to your lecturers. They're always there to help you. They're always there to guide you. So just don't be afraid of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't leverage that enough at uni, I don't think. Yeah. I was just like, lecturers, meh. But they're there for a reason.
They're there for a reason. And they've, I feel like they've been a part of the journey of so many different students, and they know exactly what you want, and they know what exactly can help you. So they're your biggest resource, guys. Use that opportunity.
Nice. Quite passionate about it. So let's walk through some of the key moments in early stage university or making that transition, and perhaps you can let us know what you wish you knew, maybe what you wish you tried, or what you would suggest. So let's go back to the first day of uni. What do you wish you knew about that day, and or what you might have done differently?
I'd say what I wish I knew is that it's okay to go and talk to people, because I was very shy on my first day. I didn't talk to anybody. I just kept to myself. And the biggest thing I would just change is to go to where everybody's socializing and just say, hi, my name is so-and-so, this is where I'm from, it's nice to meet you guys, and just build that conversation, because you really are going to make those long-lasting friendships at uni, because everybody is sort of on the same level and everybody is, I'd say, like-minded, because you've chosen this course for a reason, so you have something to connect with. And just put yourself out there, talk to people, and just start building your network, because what makes uni the most joyful thing is the people that you do it with. Use that.
And I think it's important to remember that everyone is as nervous as everyone else on that first day.
And I feel like everybody just wants you to come and talk to them, because everybody's nervous. No matter if you've been in Australia for your entire life, if you're new here, everybody's nervous and everybody's on their first day. Just talk to everybody.
Yeah. So how about the learning environment? You know, people are coming from school where you learn in a certain way and then you get to uni. How is it different, and I guess what do you wish you knew?
Yeah, so at school, I'd say you have school from like 9 in the morning to 3 in the evening, 5 days a week. But at uni, that's completely different. If you're doing 4 units, you have 1 lecture for each unit, and then approximately 1.5 to 2 hours worth of tutorials. So that's just 12 hours each week for uni on campus. So it's a lot less time, but that means that you are expected to be an independent learner. So you just have more flexibility and less structure, but that means that you need to do things more on your own and be what they call an adult learner. So yeah, you have a lot more responsibility.
Probably took me until my last week to realise that. I certainly took advantage of the fact that it was only 12 hours of class a week.
People really miss out on doing well just because they think that, uni is just a couple of hours a week. I can just enjoy the rest of my week and just slack. But that's not how it works. You're going to suffer the consequences when it comes to the latter stage of the semester. So
And I also think, like, looking back on my university experience, you have to be self-directed to learn the course material.
Definitely.
But you also it's a pretty unique opportunity to just be really curious about these subjects. And I look back and I'm like, I wish I had just been more self-directed and more independent in my learning.
And it's actually a very rewarding feeling when you actually do well, because, you sort of did this on your own. You had a bit of support, but it was all on you. And I feel like this self-directed learning, it's pretty much a reflection of the industry and the workplace, because obviously when you go into work, your boss will just ask you to do something and tell you when it's due, but they're not going to be checking up with you and ask if you've done your research or have you finished your draft or have you just gotten in the work that's required for it. They're just going to expect it to be done on the day that it's due. So that's really setting you up for that independent work ethic when it comes to the workplace.
I think that's a great comparison, and especially building the skills that you need to succeed in a job. You've got to build that up independently.
Definitely.
So what about the business school itself and choosing subjects and those sorts of things? There's always plenty of opportunity to do different things.
Definitely.
How did you go about that, and what do you wish you knew about that sort of experience and process?
So in my course, your first entire first year, you do your core units. So those are basically set up for you to transition into university well and to sort of figure out what you would like to do and specialize in later in your degree. So that first few units, those aren't things that you can choose. Those are things you have to do. But I would advise people to start looking at what really interests them and the different subjects that they'd like to take when it comes to second year, because your first year goes by really fast and sometimes you just miss out on doing proper research in what you actually want to do, and then you come up to the day where you are required to choose your subjects and you just choose whatever. So it's really that opportunity for you to do your research well and figure out what you want to achieve from your course and set your course structure in that particular way. And I really need to mention that there are like course advisors at Monash. So you can just book a consultation with them and basically figure out your course map, and so that you just have that guidance as to what you need to do in the coming years. And obviously you can change that according to what you wish to do at that particular time, but it's best to have that course structure in place, just so you feel a bit more safe.
Yeah.
So you know, we've got uni exams, we've got uni assignments. It can be a stressful time for students, but also it can be quite different to how people were assessed at school.
Definitely.
So, what should prospective students know about uni exams and uni assignments? And is there anything you wish you knew before you got started?
Definitely. I feel like in school, you're just given so much guidance as to how your assignment should be like and how you need to sort of answer your questions in your exams. And I feel like I knew what was coming and I knew how to approach sort of every answer, because you practice a lot of past exam questions and all of that. But in uni, your assignments basically test your way of thinking and your way of applying different concepts into different scenarios. So it's not like you can sort of memorize everything that's on your book and just blurt it out in your assignments and exams. That's not how it works. You really need to do your own. You really need to do your own research. You need to think in different ways and just see how all the knowledge you've learned can be applied into that very specific way that your assignment sort of tests you. So it takes a lot of practice. You're not always going to get it right on your first go. I feel like during your first semester, you make a lot of mistakes as to what is expected. And personally, I feel like my lecturers sort of forgave me on that, because they understand that you're new and that you need help. But if you get like marks that are less than average, you can always talk to them about it. They're always going to help you. There's so much assignment help available in terms of your lecturers. And also you can ask for assistance from the library. They also have really cool resources that you can utilize to expand that quality of your assignments. Yeah.
So then turning to extracurricular activities, and I'm sure Monash Business School has plenty on offer, as does the broader university. So what do you wish you knew about that?
I actually didn't really know of any of the clubs that were available, any of the student organizations that were available. So when I first came, it was really cool to see the number of options that were available, because there are so many clubs at Monash. There's one for every sport. There are clubs for sports that I've never even heard of before. There's a Muggles club, a photography club. There's one for absolutely everything you can imagine. So I feel like it's best to do a bit of self-reflection about what you're interested in. And the best way to find out about all of these clubs is to maybe head into open days or orientation week and just have a walk around and see what's available and what interests you the most.
Did you join a club?
I did. I actually joined the Peninsula Business Student Society right in my first year, and I feel like that club really helped my transition, because I was able to meet a lot of senior students who had been in my position before, and I just got so much advice, so many tips and tricks on how to navigate the rest of my course and all of the different options available. So big tip is to talk to your seniors, guys.
Yeah. I think a recurring theme from this conversation is that there's so much help available from your lecturers, from other students, from the library, from course advisors. And they're all there to help you, so it's important to ask.
So that's the thing. There's a lot of things available, but you need to ask. You need to go and you need to take that step and you need to go and ask. Because like in school, nobody's going to come to you and be like, oh, do you need help? Or should I help you? Or have you heard of this amazing opportunity? It's not going to be like that. You need to sort of be self-directed in that way and just ask. People are so friendly at Monash. So,
That's great.
Nice.
That's great.
Nice.
And one thing that we've noticed in a number of the conversations we've had for this series is that Monash has a real focus on opportunities beyond the classroom or beyond the lecture theatre. Even before we started recording this morning, you were talking about an internship you're doing.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us about opportunities that Monash offer, I guess, outside the classroom?
Yeah. So I'd say in your first year, obviously, you wouldn't really have that opportunity to go in for internships, but my advice is to start volunteering then. You can volunteer at the different clubs and societies available. You can join the student unions and volunteer for their, I'd say, breakfast days and all the events that they have. And that's where you build your basic communication skills and you sort of build your confidence. And it's also good value on your resume, I suppose. And then when you sort of finish your second year is when I would advise people to start applying for internships. So Monash has a really good work integrated learning program, which I've applied to. So soon after I finished my second year, I applied for this program, got accepted, and they gave me a placement at a financial firm in Melbourne. So I was working within the marketing team, but in a financial firm. So very different experience. And that, I think that was my first experience of working in the corporate world, first experience in an office. So yeah, it was amazing. I really got to experience how they really communicate with their clients, what sort of marketing services they provide. And it's just, you really get to witness what you've learned in your degree in the real world.
So the Monash Business School, that's the offers that program that you speak of there, Oshani, the work integrated learning program.
And you can get credit towards your course through that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're listening and want more information, you can head to the website. It's a program where students can gain real life business experience and make contacts that can help you land a job at the end of your degree. Very successful course, and you've obviously had a great experience with it.
And you also have the option to source your own placement and run it by the work integrated learning team and see if you can get credit to your course through that as well. So you have that independent ability as well.
Awesome.
So on top of this work integrated learning program you did, you're also doing an internship at the Monash Food Innovation Centre.
Yeah.
Now, I'm actually not sure what innovation's coming through food, so it sounds pretty cool. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing there.
Yeah, so that was actually advertised on a job portal that Monash sort of owns. It's called Monash Talent. So I got accepted into that, and that's basically we are given a real client to work with, and we work with in a multidisciplinary team. So I have to work with a student from the science faculty, the engineering faculty, and the design faculty. So we get together and we I suppose we make this new food product to suit the business challenge that our client gives us.
Wow, okay, that's amazing.
Well, if you are listening and inspired by Oshani's story and the amazing opportunities that she has had, you can head to the Monash website, monash.edu/business/future-students for all the information on courses and programs available for you if you're considering Monash Business School for your university experience. But Oshani, we have 3 final questions that we've been asking everyone.
Sure.
So let's crack in.
So Oshani, the first question, we're speaking to a number of year 11 and 12 students who are thinking about all their options and where they want to go. So why should they consider business? And then specifically, why should they consider Monash Business School?
I'd say consider business because it's a very broad degree and it can really lead you into different, very, very diverse areas in, I suppose, the industry. You can work for a not-for-profit, you can work for a finance firm, you can be a business teacher if you want to be a business teacher. So there's so many different paths that you can go to. And especially if you're not sure of what you want to do, I'd say doing a business degree is really helpful because it gives you access to so many different opportunities in so many different industries, and you can really learn from that.
Yeah. I think your experience going from working in a finance firm to working in food innovation, that's testament to that. Yeah. So if we've been asking you a lot about specific areas of the university experience and what you wish you knew, but if we take a step back and just ask generally, you know, what's one thing you wish you knew before you started university?
Independent learning. When I was in high school, I didn't really know of the difference between studying at school and studying at university, and it did come by as a bit of a shock when you're sort of left alone and you're supposed to do your own self-study and you're supposed to sort of teach yourself things. I think that takes a bit of practice, but you eventually get used to it. But it's good if you come with that preparation ahead. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then related to that, if you think back to yourself finishing your A-levels in Sri Lanka and following in your sister's footsteps over to Monash, what advice would you give your younger self?
I'd say don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and don't be afraid to fail, because that's the only way that you're going to learn and grow. Because when you come here, everything's new and there's just so many chances for you to fail. And that really scared me a lot, because it was a big change, a completely different world. But my advice would be to just say yes to everything that comes by and just not be afraid, because you're going to learn so much.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
You don't want to fail your uni degree though, that's for sure.
But even that, nobody wants to fail, but those things happen.
Yeah.
And even if it does happen that way, it just means that it's really going to build your resilience and your ability to sort of face failure in a friendly way. Because I feel like that's a big skill that you need in your life. You need to learn how to fail and take it in a good way, in a positive way.
Couldn't agree more. Well, Oshani, that is it for this episode of What I Wish I Knew About Studying Business. Hopefully we've been able to answer some of the big questions that you've had on your mind about that transition from school to uni, and hopefully Oshani has been able to shed a bit of light and make it a little bit easier for you. So thank you so much for sharing your experience with those that are listening and with us here today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We thank you for your time.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for having me on. It was an amazing opportunity to talk to you all and to just reflect on the amazing 3 years that I've been a part of.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Oshani.
And for more information, as we said, you can head to the Monash Business School website, monash.edu/business/future-students, link in the show notes. My name is Bryce and I have been joined by my uni and equity mates, buddy Alec. That's it for now.
That's it, Bryce. Looking forward to next time.